Oh, good morning, everybody. We're reading through Isaiah 44 to 48. Correction is not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to receive at all. And Israel was going through it because Israel had become idol worshippers. And we're not talking about overnight. We're talking about generations and generations of idol worshippers, the very things that the Lord told them not to do, not to pursue. And even when they had a good king, a good, righteous, faithful king in place, the people would obey the king in public, but in private they would do their own thing. And their heart was centered upon idol worship. They were willing to honor Yahweh, but they also wanted to honor these things that they had created. And Yahweh went on quite a bit about how ridiculous it is, especially in Isaiah. He went on about this, how ridiculous it is that they would chop down a tree and use part of the wood to make some furniture, and part of the wood to create a fire to cook on, and then part of the wood to create this idol that they would pray to and bow down to, and it made no sense whatsoever. But nevertheless, this is where they were, and because of it, they were going to have to walk down unpleasant paths. They would go into captivity. Many would die, but the nation would end up being saved overall, and they would return to the land, and they would once again worship Yahweh. So the thing that they were going through, it wasn't a punishment as much as a correction. A punishment doesn't mean that it has any purpose other than like a vengeful thing. Whereas correction is meant to put people back on the right path. And there are pleasant paths and there are unpleasant paths. And the unpleasant paths are the paths of correction. Although in the New Testament we're told to be encouraged when we are corrected, because Father only corrects his children, right? So that's, in other words, to say that shows that you are a legitimate child. That's all fine and dandy, but we don't have to walk down those paths. We don't have to enter into a rebellion or a place where we need a correction. And so the unpleasant paths are intended for those who need correcting, and the pleasant paths are for those who are obedient. And as simple as that. Today we look at it as punishment, we look at it as revenge, and we have to remind ourselves there's a day that has been set aside for judgment. And until that day, Dad is on our side. He's fighting for us, he's helping us, and he will bring us correction so that we make it, so we get there, that we're not defeated. He doesn't want us to be defeated. He doesn't want to take revenge on us. He doesn't want to see us punished. But he will bring us correction, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing, because that's a good path to walk down, even if it is unpleasant for a short period of time. But again, we don't have to walk that path of unpleasantness. The best thing to do is learn the lesson and get back onto the right path. If you find yourself in that position of facing correction, instead of fighting against it, is to give yourself over to it. Submit, learn what it is, repent of what you have done wrong, and get back onto that path of obedience, because love empowers us to obey. It's not what I want, it's what the Lord wants. That's what it really comes down to. I want what he wants, and that's pleasant for me. I want what he wants. And I've been corrected in the last little while. I've been corrected on a number of occasions where I've been out, having conversation, and the Spirit says, "Oh, by the way, did you notice this? What do you think you should do with that?" It's like, okay, He says, "Here, let me give you some hints," and and he'll point me in that right direction, and then I have to, take the action and do something with that, and it's good and it's right and it's perfect. Um, the problem comes when you don't readily respond to that, and he has to bring in some other um, means of correction because he wants you to get it. He wants you to be victorious. He wants you to overcome. It's not a matter of striving. We've got to get rid of the idea of striving. It's just being. This is what he's created us to be. And he develops these things in us. It's he who does that. We just cooperate by surrender. And when he points these things out, we surrender to it. We step into it. It's a life of surrender. We don't strive. We don't do anything. It's his work. And then we just lean in. We lean in. You can't be any more, you can't love any more than what you love right now. But as he teaches you to love as he loves, then you surrender to that. You give yourself over to it. This is what we do. Faith isn't something that I develop. Faith isn't something that I grow. Faith is something that he develops and he grows in me by taking me along, by whispering in my ear, by telling me to go left, to go right, taking me through these wonderful lessons that aren't difficult if I surrender in them. Okay, so I could go on for a while with this, and I'm not going to. So I'm going to just pray that you have a wonderful day filled with encouragement and an awareness of the Lord's presence. God bless.